In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and void, and darkness covered the abyss. The Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. He called the light day, and the darkness night. Thus began the creation. In 6 days, the Lord formed the firmament, the earth, the waters, the stars and heavenly bodies, the plants, the animals, and man. On the 6th day, God created the human being in his image. Male and female, he created them and gave them authority over all the created. And God saw that everything was very good. On the 7th day, he rested and blessed the 7th day and made it holy. God planted a garden in Eden full of beautiful trees and abundant fruits. In the middle of the garden, he placed the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and of bad. But the serpent, more cunning than all the animals, deceived the woman. They ate the forbidden fruit, and their eyes were opened. They hid, for they knew they were naked. God called them, and upon discovering their disobedience, cursed the serpent, multiplied the woman's pains, and made the man work the ground with sweat. He expelled them from Eden and placed cherubim with a flaming sword to guard the way to the tree of life. Eve gave birth to Cain, and then to Abel. Abel was a shepherd of sheep, Cain a farmer of the land. Both offered offerings to the Lord. Cain from the fruit of the land, Abel from the firstborn of his flock. God looked favorably upon Abel and his offering, but did not accept Cain's. Filled with anger, Cain took his brother to the field and killed him. God said to him, "Where is your brother?" Cain replied, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" Then the Lord cursed him and made him a wanderer on the earth. However, he put a mark on him so that no one would kill him. Cain moved away from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod. Adam lived 130 years and fathered a son in his likeness and called him Seth. He said, "Eve, God has given me another son in place of Abel, whom Cain killed." Seth became the father of Enosh, and in his days people began to call on the name of the Lord. From generation to generation, humanity multiplied on the earth. They lived many years, begot sons and daughters, and the earth was filled with people. Among them walked one with God, Enoch, who did not die, for God took him. Humanity sure multiplied, and so did its corruption. Men turned away, and their hearts inclined continuously to evil. God saw the earth, and behold, it was filled with violence, and he regretted having created man. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. He was a righteous man, perfect in his generations, and walked with God. God said to him,
He decidido destruir a todo ser viviente, porque la tierra está llena de violencia. Hazte un arca de madera de gofer, pon compartimientos y cúbrela por dentro y por fuera con brea.
And Noah obeyed. The Lord revealed to him that he would bring a great flood, and that only he, his family, and the animals he brought into the ark would be preserved. Noah built the ark according to everything God commanded him. It had 3 levels, a door on one side, and enough space to house his family and the animals. Noah, his wife, his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, entered the ark. Pairs of animals entered, male and female according to their species. God shut the door of the ark, and then the fountains of the great abyss broke open, and the windows of the heavens were opened. It rained upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. The waters rose and covered even the highest mountains. Every being that breathed, Dovi. Only Noah and those with him in the ark were left. After many days, God made a wind pass over the earth, and the waters began to recede. The ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Noah sent a raven, then a dove. When the dove returned with an olive leaf, he knew that the waters had receded. Finally, God spoke to Noah.
Leave the ark, you and your family, and all living beings with you.
Noah built an altar and offered a burnt offering to the Lord. And God perceived the pleasing aroma and promised, I will never again curse the ground because of man, nor will I destroy every living being as I have done.
And he established his covenant with Noah. I set my bow in the clouds, and it shall be a sign of my covenant with the earth. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. The sons of Noah,
Shem, Ham, and Japheth, populated the whole earth. From them came nations, languages, and peoples. But the men, united under one language, said, Amgam, let us build a city and a tower that reaches the sky. Let us make a name for ourselves, so that we are not scattered over the face of the earth.
Then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which they were building, and said, Behold, the people are one, and all have one language. This is only the beginning. Nothing will be impossible for them.
And he confused their language and scattered them across the earth. That is why that place was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of humanity. In the midst of a land of idols, God called a man, Abram, and he
said, Leave your country, your people, and your father's house. Go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great. You will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse, and all the families of the earth will be blessed through you. And
Abram obeyed. He was 75 years old when he left Haran with his wife Sarai and his nephew Lot, and they arrived in Canaan. There, God promised him, To your descendants I will give this land. And Abram built an altar to the Lord and continued walking by faith. The land could not support Abram and Lot together because their herds and servants were many, and there was strife between the herdsmen of both. Then Abram said to Lot, Let there be no strife between us, for we are brothers. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. And if you go to the right, I'll go to the left. And Lot lifted his eyes and saw the plain of the Jordan, fertile like the garden of the Lord. He chose that region for himself and went towards Sodom, city that was already wicked before God. After Lot departed, God spoke to Abram, Lift up your eyes now.
Look from where you are to the north, to the south, to the east, and to the west. All the land you see, I will give to you and your descendants forever. I will make your descendants like the dust of the earth. If anyone can count the dust, they can also count your children. And
Abram set up his tent and lived in Hebron, where he built another altar to the Lord. 4 kings waged war against 5 and defeated Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot, who lived in Sodom, was taken captive with all his possessions. When Abram found out, he gathered his servants born in his house, 318 men, and pursued them to rescue him. He defeated the kings and recovered Lot, his family, and all his possessions. Upon returning from the victory, Melchizedek, king of Salem and priest of the Most High God, came out to meet him. He brought bread and wine and blessed Abram, saying, Blessed be Abram of God Most High, creator of heaven and earth. And Abram gave him a tithe of everything. After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision, saying, Do not fear, Abram. I am your shield, and your reward will be exceedingly great. And Abram said, Lord, what will you give me, seeing as I have no child? Then God took him outside and said, Look now at the heavens and count the stars if you can count them.
so shall your descendants be. And Abram believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness.
God confirmed to him, I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land as an inheritance. And that same night, God made a covenant with Abram. He showed him that his descendants would be foreigners, enslaved and oppressed for 400 years, but that they would later come out with great wealth. That day, the Lord sealed his promise with an eternal covenant. Sarai, Abram's wife, did not give him children. Then she said to her husband, take my Egyptian maidservant Hagar, perhaps I will have children through her. Abram accepted, and Hagar conceived. But when she became pregnant, she looked down on Sarai, and Sarai afflicted her. Hagar fled to the desert, and there the angel of the Lord found her and said, return to your mistress and submit to her. I will multiply your descendants, and you will have a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your affliction. Hagar obeyed and gave birth to Ishmael when Abram was 86 years old. At 99 years old, God spoke to Abram again. I am the Almighty God.
Walk before me and be perfect. This is my covenant with you. You will be the father of a multitude of nations. You will no longer be called Abram, but Abraham, because I have made you the father of many peoples. He also said, as for Sarai, your wife, you will not call her Sarai, but Sarah, and I will give her a son, and she will be the mother of nations. God established a sign with Abraham. You and your descendants will keep my covenant. Every male will be circumcised. And Abraham
obeyed. That same day, he circumcised Ishmael, all the servants of his house, and he himself was circumcised, being 99 years old. Sometime later, the Lord appeared to Abraham in the oak grove of Mamre. 3 men appeared to him, and Abraham received them with hospitality. One of them, the Lord, he said, I will return to you next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Sarah heard from the tent and laughed in her heart, for she was old and barren. But the Lord said, why does Sarah laugh? Is there anything too difficult for God? The 3 men got up and looked toward Sodom from a distance. The Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do, since he will become a great nation by whom all the families of the earth will be blessed? And revealed, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is very grave. Then Abraham approached and said, will you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Then if there were 50 righteous people, would you not forgive the city for the sake of them? And the Lord replied, yes, I will spare it. Abraham continued interceding, and if there were 45, 40, 30, 10, and God said, I will not destroy it for the sake of 10, but 10 righteous were not found. 2 angels arrived in Sodom at dusk. Lot welcomed them, but the men of the city attempted to violate them. Then the angels said to Lot, take your family out, for we will destroy this place. At dawn, they hurried him. Get up, take your wife and your daughters and flee. And as they fled, the Lord rained fire and sulfur from the sky on Sodom and Gomorrah. The whole plain was destroyed. But Lot's wife looked back and became a pillar of salt. The Lord visited Sarah as he had promised, and Sarah conceived and bore a son to Abraham in his old age at the time appointed by God. Abraham named him Isaac and circumcised him on the 8th day. Sarah said, God has made me laugh. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. And the child grew. But when Sarah saw that Ishmael was mocking Isaac, she said to Abraham, cast out this maidservant and her son, for the son of the maidservant shall not inherit with my son, Isaac. This troubled Abraham, but God said to him, do not do what Sarah tells you, because through Isaac your offspring will be named. Abraham sent Hagar and Ishmael into the desert, and God was with them as well. Years later, God tested Abraham. Take your son, your only one, Isaac, and offer him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will tell you." Abraham obeyed. He prepared the wood, took the knife, and went up the mountain with Isaac. When he stretched out his hand to sacrifice him, the angel of the Lord stopped him. "Do not stretch out your hand. Now I know that you fear God, for you did not withhold your only son." Then Abraham saw a ram caught by its horns in a bush and offered it instead of his son, and called the name of that place, "The Lord will provide." Sarah lived 127 years and died in Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Abraham mourned her and bought a cave in Machpelah as a burial site, the first possession he had in the Promised Land. There he buried Sarah. When Abraham was already old, he sent his most faithful servant to find a wife for Isaac. He said to him, "You will not take a wife for my son from among the Canaanites, but you will go to my land and take from my kindred." The servant prayed to God, and at the well found Rebekah, granddaughter of Nahor, Abraham's brother. She offered water to the servant and also to his camels, thus fulfilling the sign asked for in prayer. Then the servant blessed her and took her with him. When Rebekah arrived, Isaac went out to meet her, loved her, and took her to his mother Sarah's tent, and he was comforted after her death. Abraham took another wife named Keturah and had several children with her. But to Isaac he gave everything he owned. To the sons of the concubines he gave gifts and sent them to the east. Abraham lived 175 years. He died at a good old age and was buried next to Sarah in the cave of Machpelah by his sons Isaac and Ishmael. After Abraham's death, God blessed Isaac, who lived near the well of the living one who sees me. Rebekah, wife of Isaac, was barren, but Isaac prayed to the Lord, and she conceived. Within her womb the children struggled, and God revealed to her, "Two nations are in your womb. The older will serve the younger." She gave birth to twins. The first was reddish and hairy, and he was called Esau. Then his brother was born holding Esau's heel, and he was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when they were born. Esau was a hunter. Jacob, a quiet man, lived in tents. Isaac loved Esau for his hunting. Rebekah loved Jacob. One day, Esau returned exhausted from the field and found Jacob preparing a lentil stew. Jacob offered him the stew in exchange for his birthright, and Esau accepted. Years later, Jacob, with his mother's help, deceived his father Isaac and received the blessing of the firstborn. Esau swore to kill him. Jacob fled. On the way, he dreamed of a ladder to heaven. God promised him descendants and land. Jacob arrived in Haran. He fell in love with Rachel. He worked for 14 years to marry her. He had children with Leah, Rachel, and their servants. The last one, Joseph. God prospered Jacob, but he fled from Laban and prepared to face Esau. The night before, he wrestled with an angel and was named Israel. Esau forgave him, and Jacob continued on his way. His daughter Dinah was violated. His sons killed an entire city. Jacob feared and returned to Bethel to worship God. Rachel died giving birth to Benjamin. Isaac also died. Joseph, the favorite son, was sold by his brothers. They took him to Egypt, and after years of trials, God raised him as a governor. During the famine, his brothers arrived in Egypt. They bowed before him, not knowing that he was Joseph. He forgave them and brought Jacob and his entire family. They lived in Goshen. Before dying, Jacob blessed his sons and asked to be buried in Canaan. Joseph also died, but left a promise. God will visit you, and you will carry my bones with you.